So me and your mum went out to the airport this weekend to go and see some friends of ours that we haven't seen for, I don't know, 25 years. It was wonderful to see them. But being out the airport kind of reminded me how much I bloody hate flying. Flying's rubbish. I used to do a lot of flying when I was younger, and the novelty of the whole affair it wore off pretty bloody quickly, because flying and airports and customs and security is just a big pain in the ass, and I'd rather not do it. I just can't be asked. But the other reason I hate flying is because the whole nature of the thing is a recipe for disaster, and I've had so many rubbish things happen to me when I fly, just stupid things that go wrong, stupid things that happen to me, and I just hate flying. I've been on a plane. I was propositioned by this woman who must have been in her 80s. She was drunk off her face, and she propositioned me, and I had nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. I once accidentally picked up the wrong bag at Gatwick Airport. I drove 130 miles only to find out that when I opened the bag, it was full of frilly undershorts and bras, and I had to drive 130 miles back to Gatwick to pick up my bag so I could have access to my wire fronts. I was on a plane once. I went for a pee and the light wasn't working in the toilet, so I left the door a little bit open so I could see what I was doing. I was sort of all concerned just in case somebody walked in on me, and somebody did walk in, so I slammed the door shut quickly and the light came on. So where the hell's the instructions for this sort of thing? Ridiculous. Another time I was flying back from Zambia, and it'd been a really, really long trip, really hard trip, and so I fell asleep shortly after takeoff, and the plane went through some quite heavy turbulence, and at one point the plane dropped and leveled out so violently, such a big bang, that it made some of the oxygen masks pop out. And so I woke up with this bang and this jolt, and I just saw the mask hanging in front of me. I just thought, this is it, I'm going to die. So I'm like, stop putting the mask on, looking around, and no one else screaming, it's just me. People looking at me like I'm an idiot, which I was. I mean, just stuff just happens to me. It just happens to me. There's two particular stories that I wanted to tell you, and I can't decide which one I should tell you. I might end up telling you both, but they both involve Mozambique, funnily enough, because I used to travel to Mozambique about once a month, and I always used to take the Air Zimbabwe flight because it was really good back in those days. The commercial flight was, would you like chicken or beef, sir? Would you like a drink, sir? Would you like to sit in the smoking section, sir? It was very civilized. I liked it. There's one trip they couldn't get me onto any flights, and so what they did is they booked me on a private flight, one of these little 6-seater Cessnas, and I wasn't entirely comfortable with it because it's like going in a Mazda 323 with wings. It just doesn't feel safe. But I didn't have a lot of choice, so I went out to the airport, and I was sitting in the departure lounge waiting for the pilot to come across. And I'm looking out the window, and I can see this guy walking across the deck from the hangar towards the departure lounge, and he was wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and he had a cowboy moustache. And he opened the door and put his head through the door, and then I swear he pushed his hat up with one finger like they do in the cowboy movies. He said, "I'm looking for Graham Gallagher." I was like, yes, that's me. It's my bloody pilot. I'm going to follow him to the plane, get in the plane, and he fires this thing up and starts turning towards the taxi lane in between the two runways. And then he said, "Yeehaw!" And he floored the thing and took off on the taxi lane. In the taxi lane, not on the runway, in the taxi lane. And the traffic control tower was going mental at him over the radio. And he was just laughing maniacally, ignoring them. And we started flying towards Maputo, and I swear this guy just jabba, non-stop talking the whole bloody way. And he was looking at me while he was doing it. And at one point I said to him, dude, can you watch where you're going? Don't look at me. Watch where you're going. And he said, no, we're not in a car. I'm not going to hit a tree or a cow. I said, yeah, you might fly into a fucking mountain though. Watch where you're going. Anyway, we got to Maputo, and I got off the plane. I thought, thank God I'm never going to see that guy again. I went off, I did the work with this guy, Jose. Came back to the airport a couple of days later to catch the next leg of the flight to Beira. And this bloody John Wayne pilot was sitting waiting for me. Turned out he'd been booked for the whole trip. It's like, oh, God damn it. So I get in the plane with him, he takes off, and things were normal and sane for about 5 minutes. And he said to me, he said, did you know that Mozambique has a coral reef? I said, no, I didn't actually. That's quite interesting. He said, let's go and see it. And he just veers the plane and flies out over the ocean. Now, we had been flying above the ground, where if we had to have an accident or something had to happen, I'd have some kind of chance of survival because it's the ground. Now, for no reason, this guy flies 2-3 kilometers over the ocean where there's sharks and things that can eat me. You're a lunatic. Fly out over the ocean. And he did. We flew over the ocean the whole way from Maputo to Beira. I have to admit, the water was really, really clear, and you could see the reef, and you could see all these large sea animals that would eat me if I fell in the water. But it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience because he dropped down to about 50 feet above the water. So, you know, I got a real close up of the whole thing. Yeah, and we saw a fishing boat, and he buzzed the fishing boat, and then he circled around, he buzzed them again. You're a lunatic. You watch too much bloody Top Gun. Yeah, we land in Beira, and you know, I go off and I do a couple of days work, come back to Beira, and here's this clown again. My luck hadn't held out. He hadn't been abducted or anything. I get in the plane with him, and he takes off, and then for some reason he just decided that he was going to fly over the Beira corridor. He's just going to follow the Beira corridor back to Zimbabwe. Now, Beira corridor is a skinny bit of land between Zimbabwe and the sea, and there's a fuel pipeline that runs along that, and that's the lifeline of Zimbabwe's fuel. So it's heavily guarded. There's a lot of security, and there's heavily armed troops. And this guy's flying along the Beira corridor at about 50 feet, just so we can look at a fucking pipeline. If I wanted to see a pipe, I'd look on the side of my house. I don't see the fucking Beira corridor pipeline. Spent the whole flight concerned that a bullet was going to come flying through the bottom of the plane and pierce my bollocks. It's ridiculous. But we arrived in Harare with no further incident. But I swear, if there was a TripAdvisor or Uber in those days, this guy would not be getting 5 stars. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll tell you the other story anyway. I was in Maputo doing work with this guy Jose, and it had been a really kind of busy week, and I wasn't going up to Beira. I was going to be flying straight back to Harare. So I'm at the airport. I get to the airport, I go up to the counter, to the Air Zimbabwe counter, to go and check in, and the woman says, "I'm sorry, there's a problem with your flight." Okay, what's the problem? No, apparently the plane had an issue. So she said, "You're gonna need to take the LAM flight to Harare," which is a problem because LAM is the national airline of Mozambique, and they are rubbish. They got a shocking safety record, terrible record. I swear, majority of their budget must be spent on duct tape and WD-40 and bits of string to hold stuff together. They're terrible. So I said to him, oh, when's the next Air Zimbabwe flight going to be in? And it turned out it was going to be 24 hours. Like, God damn it. I don't want to be sitting in the Maputo airport for 24 hours. Because you got to realize that this is a third world airport. This isn't a first world airport where there's restaurants and pubs and clean toilets and places where you can have a nice sleep on a bench. No, there's none of that. Maputo airport is basically a shed with peeling paint, dirty toilets and dodgy ass people wandering around. So I didn't want to stay there for 24 hours. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll take the LAM flight. Where do I get my boarding pass? He said, oh no, LAM don't supply boarding passes. What do you mean? Turns out they don't issue boarding passes. So I asked her, how does this work? And she says, no, you gotta, when the doors open, you just gotta go to the plane and find an available seat. Shit. So is there enough seats on this plane for everybody that wants to fly? And she just kind of shrugged her shoulders, which is African for, sounds like your problem, not mine. So I went and sat as close to the door as I could. But I definitely wanted to get on the flight, not spend the night in Maputo airport. And I've got two problems with Maputo. Well, I've got several problems with Maputo airport, but two specific problems is, first of all, everything is in Portuguese. Now, I understand that it's Mozambique, where they speak Portuguese, but it's an international fucking airport. Can we have at least one person that speaks English? Because I don't speak a word of Portuguese, and all the signs are in Portuguese. So I have no idea what the hell is going on at any point in time in that goddamn airport. Second thing is the tannoy, the overhead, the loudspeaker thing that they make announcement on. It was rubbish. You couldn't hear a damn thing. Even if it was in English, you couldn't hear a damn thing. It was like, bang bang. So what the hell did they say? It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm sitting by the door. Yeah, and we're looking out at this LAM plane, which is out on the airport deck. And there's a guy with a big roll of duct tape, strapping the wing together. Another guy spraying WD-40 on the turbines to get them turning again. Yeah, anyway, and then this message comes over the tannoy. It's like, bang bang. Fuck, what's going on? But then everyone stands up and starts heading towards the door, and I thought, bloody hell, this is it. I've got to get involved here because I've got to get a seat in their flight. And so I start shoving them, pushing my way to get amongst the masses. And everyone goes through the door and starts getting all a little bit frantic, and then it becomes this all-out foot race, and we're running towards the plane, and I'm elbowing and pushing and shoving, and I had an old Samsonite briefcase in those days, so I'm swinging that thing around, causing mayhem and murder behind me. And I managed to get to the front of the crowd and got up the stairs first, and I went straight to one of those seats behind the bulkhead where you get a lot of leg room. It's right by the window. Sit down, strap myself in, feeling all smug. And everyone else comes in looking at me with their blackened eyes and cut foreheads and pointing at me with their broken hands. So I swear if it had been a rugby game, I would have been sent off. Anyway, they close the doors, and the air hostess comes on the loudspeaker and says, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to LAM flight blah 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 to Johannesburg." What? Johannesburg? I can't go to Johannesburg. I'm going to Harare. So I called the air hostess and said, "Madam, a moment of your time, if you please." She came across. I said, "This flight to Johannesburg, does it go via Harare?" She said, "Oh no, it's a direct flight." It's like, fuck. I'm on the wrong fucking plane. I said to her, can you bring the stairs back? I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong plane. And they brought the stairs back, and I had to get up and walk past all of these people that I'd caused injury to, so I could get off a plane that I wasn't supposed to be on. It was very embarrassing. Now I'm walking all dejected back to the airport terminal, and I get to the door, and I discover that no, because I've gone through the doors, I can't go back in, because I'm now technically not in the airport. I'm on the plane. I said, dude, I'm right here. Just let me through the door. I want to go sit right over there, 5 meters. I can see it. There's an old security guy at the door, and he says, oh no, you cannot go through the door. You must stay here by me. Like, fuck. So I said, okay, where can I smoke? Where can I go to have a smoke? Oh no, there is no smoking. God damn it. What about if I want to go to the toilet? I need a pee. There's no toilets here. Oh, fuck's sake. So I just put down my Samsonite briefcase and sat in it. I had no idea how long I was going to be waiting. Turns out it was 6 hours. 6 hours. I was sitting there in my fucking Samsonite briefcase waiting for the next flight. The only upside was that I didn't have to fight with anybody to get on the plane. I just walked up to the stairs and went on. And there was no chicken or beef on the plane. There was no drinks. It wasn't even water. It wasn't even a magazine to read. I've been sitting on the deck for 6 hours, nothing on the plane. I'll tell you what, when I got to Harare, I was a mess. I was shattered. I went straight to the toilet. I put my head under the tap, and I just drank the water straight from the tap. I don't care if I was going to get dysentery or typhoid. I just drank the water straight from there. It was the most rubbish flight. Rubbish. So I don't like flying. It's a rubbish thing. I hate flying. You guys must fly places. You must go and see the world. See, there's wonderful places around the world. So get on a plane and fly around and go and see them. But go on your own, because I'm not coming with you. Because I hate flying. It's rubbish. Love you.